Hey, you have Patrick Findaro here, co-founder at Vetted Biz and Visa Franchise. Excited to have on Anthony Shriver, who's the founder, chairman, and CEO of Best Buddies International. Started at Best Buddies when he was in college at Georgetown University. Many of you know my brother and business partner, Jack, went to Georgetown. I'm originally from the Washington, D.C. area, and both me and Anthony live in Miami Beach, even go to the same church, see him from time to time there. Anthony, thanks so much for joining.
Yeah, my pleasure, of course. Anytime. Thank you for the time.
So I've known your organization for quite some time. It was the first volunteer opportunity that I had 17 years old in high school at your Tyson's Corner office. I guess it's in McLean, Virginia. That opened me to the amazing organization that you've created and since grown. That was back in 2005. Tell me a little bit about your story with Best Buddies International, and then I want to get into some of the innovative franchise arrangements you have with Rosetta Bakery, with Jersey Mike's. But maybe it'd be good to talk a little bit about Best Buddies, as not everyone that is listening or watching today is as familiar with the organization.
Yeah, sure. Well, good stuff. So, I've been super blessed to be, running, managing, and leading Best Buddies for almost 35 years. It's been a real gift from God to be able to do it. So I'm super lucky. Some of your listeners may know Special Olympics, which my mother started in 1968, literally in our backyard. And so I grew up around people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, and knowing that it always comes back to hands-on, grassroots, and it always really comes back to being focused on the mission and elevating people with special abilities. And if you always have your eye on that mark, success is coming down the road for you for sure. When you get distracted and you start paying attention to things that aren't at the core and the mission, that's when you lose your way. So I've made a huge effort to try to make sure everything we're doing is elevates the buddies, elevates people with intellectual disabilities, brings diversity and excitement to the table and everything we're doing, and keep looking for different opportunities for people with intellectual disabilities to shine, whether it's in the workforce, whether it's as leaders, advocates, mentors, doesn't matter. I mean, as long as you put them up there and give them a chance to realize their dreams and their potential, whatever their dreams may be. I mean, they've got dreams all over the place, just like you and me. I mean, some of them want to have their own businesses. Some of them want to work at a TJ Maxx, or they want to work at a Best Buddies Rosetta, or they want to work at a Jersey Mike's or a Walmart or a TJ, at Safeway or Shaw's and Star Market. I mean, there's so many different opportunities out there for people with intellectual disabilities. So many of them are going to college now, getting non-degree programs. There's about 265 non-degree college programs for people with intellectual disabilities, which we work with a lot of them to try to get them through those programs. And they live on campus and they graduate with non-degrees and sort of become more equipped to go out into the job force and workforce and to work with Best Buddies jobs and getting good, competitive, solid jobs. But for me personally, it all began with my mother. It all began with my Aunt Rosemary Kennedy, who had profound intellectual disabilities, really got my family focused on this population, recognizing, that their potential is endless. President Kennedy focused a lot of his time and energy on this population, had the first kid with Down syndrome into the White House in the history of our country. So I've been, blessed to be around, a family that's really interested in this issue. And I became personally passionate about it because of my relationship with my Aunt Rosemary and also with my mom, and being around her and seeing what joy and goodwill comes her way when focused on doing and supporting other people, being more sort of, as she always said, other-centered instead of self-centered. So I've had a great journey on this thing. But with Best Buddies, I've really tried to run it as a for-profit business, making sure every year we end up in the black and our revenue's growing. And, we're treating this as a 5-star operation, and we're paying attention to the bottom line, and we're growing it. And when we're more successful financially, we can provide more services to people with intellectual disabilities. And we have a commitment to excellence financially. You have a commitment to excellence programmatically, and that's the way we want to go. So, it's been a real great journey for me. So I'm grateful to have been.
You've had it for 35 years. When did it start really hitting critical mass, where you had your first 10 employees, 20 employees?
I started in 1989, and I'd say probably by 1990, 91. I had probably 10, 20 people working at Best Buddies in 1992. We got 400 now working in the Best Buddies in the U.S. Got about 250 outside the U.S. So we were growing pretty fast still before COVID. COVID, we scaled back. Our staff got reduced. Revenue went down a little bit. So we've been ramping back up this year. At the end of this year, we'll have more gross revenue, more staff than we had pre-COVID. So we've come back strong. International's lagged slightly. It's been a little bit tougher internationally to get them back up on par with the U.S. But the U.S. program This year in the U.S., we'll raise about 65 million, and outside the U.S., we'll raise about 25 million. 30 million. So, we're getting close to the $100 million mark, which has always been my goal, to get to 100 million. So we'll get there hopefully by the end of next year is the goal. And, the goal has always been to serve 1 million people. We've gotten over that number. We got to that number several years ago. So that's good. So, the program part's going great. The services we're providing are great. And we're, generating more revenue, and we're trying to get more creative and how we generate revenue, and ensuring that we have, a lot of diversity in our revenue stream. So if one area gets whacked, the organization doesn't go down. And I've been really focused on that, especially since, when I've started, I've gone through a couple of really hard down cycles with the economy going down in the 2000s and then 2008, a lot of scary times to be in business. So, I learned a lot from those experiences, and sort of the fear that came across me in running an organization and being responsible for people's livelihoods and staff and participants. So we've, I've really been, as a result of that, been really focused in on trying to create, innovative ways to raise money and to have, small amounts of money come from a lot of different areas and large amounts of money coming from 3 or 4 areas. And so I really try hard to stay away from that.
Anthony, I'm curious, for your international expansion, is it like a licensed business model or franchise model, or did you explore that for the international expansion?
It's a combination. The goal is for sure to make them franchise models. They get, trained by us, use our name, likeness, and our, proprietary information. That's the ideal situation. They all come in different ways. Sometimes we finance them. Sometimes we develop the relationships on the ground in countries and set up the funding, and then they develop into their own NGOs and their own funding sources with their own boards. So every one of them is at a kind of a little bit of a different phase of their development. We have them all ranked from 1 to 5 based on kind of where they are in the scale. But, the goal is to get them completely financially independent from international, get them with a vibrant operating board of directors, staff on the ground of their own, and where they pay a small fee back, anywhere from 2 to 4% back on gross revenue to
sounds very reasonable for all the value you're giving in terms of training, the branding, everything.
Oh yeah, we do a lot. And a lot of the best ones and the biggest ones, we've really set up the funding sources for them. And often we find and secure the founding board members. Yeah. So we do a lot. So it's very small, but I think it's important that they pay something so that they're contributing to the overall development. Sure. And helps us, expand into other countries. But if they do have $1 million budget, it's not a lot of money for us, especially if it's, 2%, it's 20 grand.
20K, you blow through that fast.
Yeah, we blow through it. But, anyways, it's more of the mentality where, that they're contributing to the overall Best Buddies family. And
how many countries are you in?
We're in 48 now. Pre-COVID, we were about 57, so we had to contract a little bit there. And it's, it's challenging, no question, internationally. It's way harder than in the United States. The spirit of philanthropy and giving doesn't exist like it does in the United States. Not all these countries have the same tax incentive that we have in the United States and the deductions. So every country is quite different in that mentality. Some of the countries are very socialist. So a lot of these services, the population believes that the government should be paying for it all, and it should all be run, and it shouldn't be private philanthropy. So every country is so different. It's hard to say, across the board, internationals, this doesn't work like that. But, we have some that are huge. I mean, Canada's got a huge program. Mexico's got a great program. We've got some great big programs in the Middle East. And, so there's areas where South America, we've got a couple huge programs. Colombia is really big and vibrant, strong. So, some of them are great and some of them are small and struggling. Some of them have one staff person there. Some countries, we have a partnership with an existing NGO and they fund our operation. They can lend us some staff to develop Best Buddies. Some of our African programs are like that. So, there's a whole mixed array of them. But, we're doing better. I mean, my original goal on that, unfortunately, I failed on this one. But, I wanted to be in 100 countries by 2020. So that didn't happen for sure. And, a little setback with COVID. So, we're regrouping, trying to, develop a plan over the next 7 to 10 years to try to get to 100. But it's still ambitious, and it's still, hard, and it's challenging.
Yeah, I think the philanthropy mindset, it's changing slowly, like in Brazil, where people that are in their 80s just had a big distrust that the money would get to the source and the people that are going to benefit from the donations. But in that country in particular, it seems like it's almost like there needs to be like another generation that comes in and then sees that, okay, this is a very important thing that I should be doing as a citizen.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your partnership with the Rosetta Bakery. I know we met on site at the Rosetta Bakery ex Best Buddies in Brickell, an amazing location, great product. Tell me a little bit about that partnership.
Yeah. So, several years ago, we launched Best Buddies Ventures, which is an effort for Best Buddies to go in partnership with for-profit companies in a variety of different sectors of business, for us to identify companies and management that's really smart, efficient, organized, and committed to excellence, and also has a spirit of philanthropy and understands that, partnering with nonprofit and something that you believe in and you have passion for can be really successful for the culture of your company and make you a better business leader and make your employees more satisfied, happier to go to work, and make you more money. So we tried to identify several, and we've been looking at some, and we're moving forward. And Rosetta was one of the first ones that we did locally here, an Italian bakery that I think produced first class, excellent food and good service and attractive environment. So we decided to partner with them with the idea of opening up some co-branded bakeries, where Best Buddies would bring a lot of the sort of the PR and the marketing, the connection to the mission, and they get some of our buddies to actually work in the bakery, so creating job opportunities for our participants. So kind of like a home run all around.
Yeah.
And getting the customer a sense of feeling like, hey, when I go in and buy a croissant or a pizza, half the profit's going to the Best Buddies. So I'm serving people with intellectual disabilities. So there's real purpose and mission here. And I get a great product. I feel good. It's really high end. And, I can see people with intellectual disabilities periodically working here and getting gainfully employed. So it was sort of like a home run. So the original concept was we would open up a couple corporate stores, have a good model there in place, and then try to expand that concept out with franchisees who believe in the mission, maybe have a family member that has intellectual disabilities, Down syndrome, autism, whatever the person's challenge may be. Want to do something to give back to the population that they're passionate about, want to be in the service business in the food industry, partner with a company that's got great values, like-minded values, and support Best Buddies and make money. I wanted it to start off, and I wanted it to be something where, the business person would actually make real money. And with our project, we're making real money. And, I think our franchisees will make real money if they follow the model. So I think, and all these things I try to look at, everybody's got to win. If it's one-sided, it never works in any relationship. It's got to be a partnership that wins. And I think, business people got to make money. There's nothing wrong with making money. That's the way the world moves. We live in a capitalistic society. So I wanted to ensure that it was a model that was successful. So the Rosetta one was the first one, and obviously it took us some good period of time to getting all the legal documents and franchise agreement in place and doing all that. We'd never done it before, so it was pretty time consuming. And we built the business, and it was successful. So the one on Brickell does really, really well. We opened up a container, and the design district is doing really well and really low cost of entry and minimal staff, so that's great. And we're looking to open up another corporate store in Washington, D.C. But the original concept is to try to get franchisees to get involved and be part of something bigger than just having a standalone food business, but being able to support something that, is mission focused, maybe hiring your son or daughter if you have a child and you want to have a great place for your kid to work. This would be a great thing. And we've kind of made ours in downtown Miami like a clubhouse for a lot of our supporters. We have a big cycling business at Best Buddies, how we raise money through cycling. So a lot of them start and finish at sort of quote our clubhouse, which is great and adds great culture and energy. And then in the interior, we have sort of the Best Buddies story told from the beginnings of my mother starting Special Olympics and President Kennedy being very committed to this population all the way to today, and our partnership with Rosetta. So customers come in, they can kind of see the story on the wall, see some great photos, and a lot of our celebrities, whether it's Tom Brady or Guy Fieri or Olivia Coppolo or Cindy Crawford or all these people that have helped us, are all up on the wall. So it's got a great vibe. I think it's got great energy.
I can attest to that.
And it makes money. So I think if I'm a franchisee or someone that I want to go out there and start a business, make money, and I want to give back at the same time, to me, there's nothing close to it anywhere in the marketplace. So, we're doing it with Rosetta. We're also going to launch now with Jersey Mike's. And we're going to have a co-branded Jersey Mike's ex Best Buddies. I just met with the founder and the CEO of Jersey Mike's. So he's committed to it, and we're going to raise money through, their day of giving or something along those lines.
They're big. I mean, for franchise companies, like, I think it's probably easier a little bit when it's a founder owned and operated brand like Jersey Mike's instead of like private equity backed or public.
Yeah.
But he gives raises millions of dollars a year.
Millions. I mean, on his day of giving, I think he told me he does 22 or 23 million. He thinks in the next 5 years, in 5 years from now, he'll do 50 million. He's, great. I mean, you sit across the table and he makes a decision on the spot. He has no committee. There's no board that he has to go to. So I love working like that because, I want to make stuff happen like yesterday, and he wants to make so,
and it's a great brand to be partnered with because like every year there's been like double-digit growth on their average sales for like the past 10 plus years.
Yeah.
So it's like it's now doing, I think, 1.1 million in sales, whereas Subway is like 450K. So
yeah, well, it's a completely different product, and the quality of the food is completely a different level at Jersey Mike's, and it's just different. And his commitment, I mean, his philosophy and his values are so lined up perfectly with Best Buddies. It's just like it couldn't be any better in what he gives back and what he's committed to the population and what he wants to do to support this group of people that we're working with. And, it could be, great for us to have, a bunch of Jersey Mike's, and, we'll make real money. His franchisees make real money. I mean, they're doing really well. And, if we end up with 10 or 20 Jersey Mike's, would be great. And, he's just getting going internationally. They're going to open up in London in the near future, and Canada a few. But I mean, the whole world is available to them. That they're really 99% right now U.S. based, and we have a lot of presence outside the U.S. And I think it could be super successful. So, we're going to get one going here pretty soon. And he's a great guy, Peter, and I like him a lot, and I think we got a lot of potential to work with them. And at the same time, and it's not competitive with Rosetta. It's a different brand, different concept, different food, totally.
Also different entry value where, you could start with one Jersey Mike's at a lower amount. But from what I understand, Rosetta, it's a hub and spoke model where you really need to ideally open up 3 bigger capital investment, different type of business.
Yeah, it's way more expensive. I mean, the Rosetta thing is definitely more expensive. Jersey Mike's way less expensive. But the revenue is good, and the revenue keeps going up. And as you're right, it's around $1.2 million, $1.3 million in gross, and they're putting good money to the bottom line. And the cost of entry on the thing is way smaller. I mean, the investment is way less. And Peter's a great guy. And I mean, I think he's a big believer that, their revenue keeps growing and expanding, and it's really a lot to do with that. His franchisees believe and share the same values and want to get back and support the community. And they know the day of giving is worthwhile, even though they're losing revenue, and, feeding the hungry is worthwhile. And all these programs are really, effective, and, the company keeps doing better, and he knows it's because of all the giving that he's doing.
Yeah. He's created like a proper, it's like the poster child for like how franchising should be, like where there's a community of thousands of entrepreneurs, and they all have a common mission. And yes, they want to make money, but that's kind of the after effect of doing a good job and executing.
So I'm excited about that one too. And we're working, another venture project in the real estate business around with the largest owner operator of student housing in the United States. So we're working on some student housing projects where Best Buddies would have an equity stake in some student housing. And a lot of our participants through our Best Buddies Living program would live in these student housing programs in close proximity to the universities where we have chapters, because Best Buddies Living, where we have people with intellectual disabilities living together with non-disabled people, is what Best Buddies Living is all about. And having it connected to the chapters that we run in all these universities around the country. We're in over 3,000 schools. Our living programs are connected to those school programs. So there's an incredible social network for people with intellectual disabilities. And of course, the universities offer incredible job opportunities. They're some of the largest employers in communities that they exist in all over the United States. So there's great job opportunity for our participants, great social through Best Buddies Living, and ongoing social opportunities at the university, sports and academic and theater and just everything that universities, have to offer. It's such a great, vibrant place for our buddies to be able to be connected with. So, partnering with, in that business and growing that part of the business is going to, I think, make us money as well, and fits right into our mission, because we're in the housing business as well. So this group's in the housing. It's like the food, Jersey Mike's, Rosetta, they're in the opportunity to create job opportunities for people with intellectual disabilities. We're in the employment business. So these things fit with our mission really well, in addition to us generating money for us.
And ideally, I imagine you want to bring on some other retailers. I know you have a great working relationship with TJ Maxx, with 350 plus buddies working with them. But
yeah, so some of the partners that we have, corporate partners, there's just straight up employers. We don't have, the ventures deal. I don't have a ventures deal with TJ Maxx, although I'd like one. They're crushing it. They're making tons of money. But I don't own a piece of TJ Maxx. I wish one day maybe. So a lot of the other big companies we've got, whether it's TJ Maxx, they're the largest employer we have. They made a commitment to hire 500 people through the Best Buddies Job Program. By the way, Jersey Mike's committed to 500 participants to hire them across their franchisees nationwide over the next 5 years. So Peter thinks he can do 1,000, but I said, let's have success. Let's get 500, and let's have them be gainfully employed, and then we'll go to 1,000. But so that's really exciting. But the TJ Maxx's, Walmart's, Safeway, Shaw's and Star Market, all those, they're employers, straight up employers, and they give us job opportunities. We train people with intellectual disabilities. We place them, support them, do job coaching for them so they're successful in their jobs. That's separate. That's just part of Best Buddies Jobs. It has nothing to do with our ventures program or our franchise program.
So we have a lot of franchisors that listen in, multi-unit operators that have 100, 500 plus employees. When does it make sense to work with Best Buddies on the job placement side? Because I imagine if they just have a need for 5 employees, it's probably not worth creating a partnership. When does it make sense to get in conversation?
No. We have I don't want to misrepresent. We have partnerships with lots of companies where they'll hire one person or they'll hire 2 people. So we have, boots on the ground all over the United States. And some people, hire a person. Some people make a larger commitment. But the TJ Maxx's and the Jersey Mike's, those are unusual. I want people more like that, but they're very unusual. TJ Maxx made the biggest commitment of anybody in the history of our organization. 500 is a lot. So that's unusual. Jersey Mike's is really unusual too. So we're lucky we've got those 2. Most people, will hire one person in their store, or it's a mom and pop and they have a job available and we'll place one person. Sometimes a law firm that has offices all over the U.S. might hire, 10, 15 people, like Holland & Knight's a big law firm, offices all over the United States. I think we've got 15 people working there at different, cities all over the country. So some will do that, but many are doing 1, 2, 3. No problem.
So this is a program. There's over 200,000 franchisees. This is a program that whether you own 1 franchise business or 4, that you could benefit from.
100%. So if you're a franchisee in Phoenix or, whatever, LA or Chicago, and you want to hire one of our participants, we probably have someone that's looking for a job. And if we have a person that's looking for a job and wants to work in that environment, fantastic. If not, we'll keep looking. It may take 6 months, it may take 3 months, it may take a year, but everybody has different interests in where they want to work. Some want to be in a law firm. Some want to work at a TJ Maxx. Some will work at Jersey Mike's. It just depends. We've got a couple people already working at Jersey Mike's. Even before we had the Jersey Mike's deal with Peter, we've already got 2 people working in Jersey Mike's just through our network.
Location?
New Jersey.
Okay, nice.
And the New Jersey, Best Buddies New Jersey has 2 placements in Jersey Mike's up there. I didn't even know that until I started researching it before I was going to talk to Peter about it, just whether we had any buddies working at Jersey Mike's, and I found out we have 2. So we have thousands of buddies working. I don't know of all the employers that we've got, honestly. I'm sure we have some at, other.
I'm sure there's a lot of franchises in that bunch when you break it down.
I'm sure. I'm sure we've got McDonald's or Burger King, all the big ones.
And then on the Mod Pizza side, they're mostly opening corporate locations. They'd franchise in the past, but I understand that's a cause marketing.
Cause marketing. So we don't own any of that. We talked to them about trying to do something with them, but it didn't work out. So that was more of a cause marketing where we would do a promotion around the cash register, or we would have a special meal that if you bought that meal at a certain time of the year, over a course of a month or so, we would get $1 or $2 from every meal bought or every pizza bought during a certain period of time. So we ran that program. But last year was super successful. We ran one. We raised just over $500,000 on that in 2023. So Mod was great. The two owners are great, really, committed to the community and giving back. So it was a good brand partnership for us. We're still doing different deals with them. It's not going to be as big this year as it was last year. They're doing the big thing with another organization. I can't remember who, but they've been a good partner. But we've got relationships like that with a lot of brands. I mean, Rolex is the official watch. We have a relationship with Volvo Cars of North America. We have Impossible Foods is a big partner of ours. Body Armor Water and Hydration is a big partner of ours. We don't own any of those businesses, but we do cause marketing deals. They sponsor events, and we do things in supermarkets with some of the food brands. Our celebrities work and collaborate with some of the other brands, whether it's Body Armor and a water deal with one of our, celebrity ambassadors, and doing a deal with Body Armor on that side. So we've got a lot of great brands and companies that are involved, really some of the biggest brands. Coca-Cola, we have a relationship with them in multiple markets. So we've got some of the biggest, most famous brands in the world that are corporate partners of Best Buddies. Thank God.
And getting to 100 million in revenue, I imagine a lot of that's going to be through the Best Buddy Ventures and more of these brand type partnerships rather than just like individual donors.
Yeah, it will be. I mean, we generate, as the program grows, the revenue grows.
Yeah.
Sometimes the revenue comes first and the program comes second, but sometimes the program drives revenue. Those businesses do a lot, but like we have a pretty big walk business. Our budget on the walk side, in the next 5 years, we'll hopefully be doing $15-20 million just in walks. We Champion of the Year model where we do local galas in our states, and people compete to be the biggest fundraiser, and then they're crowned the Champion of the Year at the event. That this year will do about 11 million. We expect that to do 25 million over the next 5 years. So that's a big number for us as well. So this ventures thing is going to be great, and it could be really huge. But a lot of the other parts of the business are growing really fast, and the cause marketing thing's growing a lot, as I mentioned. That's true. Ventures is taking a lot of time, but I think that thing could really explode and really generate big money for us if we can really get it to really, lift off in a big way. So
the beauty of franchising,
we got a lot of exciting things on the table.
You can do stuff at scale. Like I've interviewed people that have marketing agencies. They started with 2 franchisees, and all of a sudden they have 300 franchisees as clients, and you can just over 3 years just really scale up the business. So it's exciting.
Yeah, that'd be huge. Yeah, really exciting. I'm excited about it.
Well, Anthony, what's the best way for franchisors to get in contact with you, whether they want to evaluate the cause marketing, maybe the ventures, as well as franchisees that might be interested in opening up a Rosetta bakery or Jersey Mike's?
Well, they can call us, send us an email. You can send me an email. I'll put you, based on what you want to do or who you want to go with, you can, I can connect people with the right person on our staff that manages the different elements of what we're doing. There's somebody does our ventures, and somebody else does our jobs, and somebody else does the cause marketing, and someone else does corporate relations. So, we got a pretty good crew here of people working in these different areas. You can shoot me an email. I give it out. I'm running a public charity, so I'm available to anybody, and I'll put them in touch. My email's Anthony Shriver at bestbuddies.org. Pretty easy. Or you can call us here. Our main number, always around, 305-374-2233. So if people are serious and they really want to get involved, I think it's the best organization to partner with, honestly. And I'm not just saying it because it's me. I think it's really, we're committed to doing things at the highest level, and a real commitment to excellence, and we have the right value system. We do it the right way, and we're having real impact on people's lives that people can see in a real way, and people can get involved, have a great time, have tons of fun, and go to great parties and make money, and it's a pretty good life.
Well, Anthony, this has been fun going in. I didn't realize, I know when we met at the Rosetta Bakery, there was that one venture, but digging into all these opportunities that you guys currently have with franchises and in the franchise world, and also what potentially there could be with franchisees, franchisors, prospective franchisees looking to get into their brands. So thanks a lot for joining me.
Yeah. Thank you for the time. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it, Anthony.